Hey guys, ballparkkenan here, and today we'll be learning about planes. We'll start off by placing the wings. You'll notice when I place one, a yellow indicator pops up. This shows you where the center of lift is. You'll want to keep this just behind your center of mass. If your center of lift is too far forward, your plane will nose up, and if the center of lift is too far behind, your plane will nose down. Next, we'll place the control surfaces. These include the ailerons and tailplane. The tailplane gives your aircraft yaw and pitch control. The ailerons give your aircraft roll control. Both need to be in line or balanced with the center of mass. If these aren't aligned or balanced with the center of mass, your plane's going to have a harder time maneuvering. The tailplane should be placed on the rear of your aircraft, and the aileron should be placed on the tips of the wings. You can also place the aero elevator and the aero rudder. These are the two components that make up the tailplane. They've just been split up. The aero elevator controls the pitch and the aero rudder controls the yaw of your plane. I'd recommend placing these when, for example, you need more yaw control but don't want to add any more pitch control, or vice versa. Next, we'll place the forward thrust. Be sure to keep your thrust in line or balanced around the center of mass. Not aligning or balancing your thrust will make your plane nose up or down, or move left and right depending on how the thruster is misaligned. Next, we'll place the AI card slot and the aerial AI card. This will give your AI the ability to control your plane. In the aerial AI card, we can tweak some settings. Angle of deviation before turn started allows you to set how far off course your aircraft will go before it begins yawing to the left or right. If this value is at 0, your aircraft will point directly at the next waypoint. If it's higher than 0, it'll fly to the waypoint in a less direct path. For fighters and bombers, you want to keep this number low. If you want steadier flight, set this to a higher number. Angle deviation before we roll to turn allows you to set at what angle your aircraft will use rolling thrusters or ailerons. A low value will mean your plane will constantly try to use rolling to turn. Depending on your plane, this could be good or bad. A high value will make your aircraft do wide turns, and it won't roll to turn. This is good for aircraft that don't have much maneuverability. The most extreme roll we aim for to facilitate a roll-based turn sets how much you want your aircraft to roll when it does a roll-based turn. The cruising altitude sets the altitude your aircraft will try and fly at. The minimum altitude sets the lowest altitude your aircraft will go. If there is a gap between these numbers, your plane will fluctuate between them. This gives your plane a less predictable flight path, decreasing its chances of getting hit. If you want your plane to always try and stay at a certain height, set these values to the same number. Distance beyond which we begin attack run sets how far from a target your aircraft will need to be before it begins its attack run. Distance below which we abort attack run sets how close your aircraft will get to a target before it aborts its attack run and sets up to do another attack run. Elapsed time before we force another attack run sets how many seconds your aircraft will wait, if it's disengaged from a target, before it re-engages. Keeping this low for fighters allows them to re-engage targets that are on their tail. I'd recommend leaving this at its default value for bombers, but if you notice your bomber doing circles above enemy ships and not lining up for a new attack run, lowering this number should fix that. You have the option of adding balloons. These help your plane get back into the air if it crashes. I'd recommend placing them so that when they deploy, your aircraft noses up slightly. Doing this makes it easier for your plane to take off again. To get them to activate automatically, place 2 automated control blocks. We'll set up the first one to deploy the balloons once the aircraft falls below a certain altitude. Under Inputs, select Activate when altitude less than. Under Affected, select Balloon Deployers. And under Effect, select Activate your balloon deployers. In the control panel, the input is the altitude you want your balloons to deploy at. Next, we'll go to the other ACB we placed. This one will set the altitude at which the balloons will sever from your plane. Under Inputs, select Activate when altitude greater than. Under Affected, select Balloon Deployers, and under Effect, select Deactivate your balloon deployers. In the control panel, the input is the altitude at which your balloons will sever from your plane. I'd recommend setting this high enough so your engines can get out of the water and activate. Be sure to use slopes to make your plane aerodynamic, which can increase your plane's speed. If you've placed blocks on the top or bottom of your plane, and it starts to nose up or down, this could be due to the center of drag moving up or down relative to the center of mass. To fix this, either reduce the drag of the blocks you placed by placing slope blocks, or balancing out the drag and placing blocks on the opposite side. Lastly, you can add pitch, yaw, and roll thrusters to help your plane maneuver. For pitch and yaw thrusters placed behind the center of mass, make sure they're set to reverse thrust. For roll thrusters, the ones placed on the right hand side should have roll reverse right hand side or roll RHS selected. The roll thrusters on the left hand side should have roll left hand side or roll LHS selected. I hope this video helped you understand how planes work. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Thanks for watching.